Power is made by power being taken. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's a reality of human life. And when it comes down to the negative thoughts that invade our person, our universe, they can have a drastic effect on us. There's a reason that in the news we see so many things that drag our attention.
So, Professor, would you say it's time for everyone to panic? Yes, I would, Kent.
But the reality is, my friend, it's a very, very small percentage of what actually occurs on the planet. If we don't realize this, we're gonna have a really hard time staying positive, and not only that, remaining so positive that we can convey that into our environments, into our relationships. Negativity is easy to boil into. It's something that allows us to say, hey, poor me, poor them. Oh yeah, all people are shitty. Oh yeah, look at that guy that's wealthy. He must have gotten there by being an asshole. At the end of the day, my friend, negativity is a tremendous catalyst for having all types of thoughts, all types of actions. And on the whole, when I gauge people, I tend to see either someone that is overall fairly negative, pessimist, or overall fairly positive, an optimist. And there are nuances to boiling this down, because as we move into higher and higher success circles, the nuance of it becomes more and more difficult to detect. Realism is not being a negative person. Realism doesn't mean that every single time an idea comes by, despite it being decent, logical, perhaps a lot of parts of it are already built out, very likely to get the result that you want. If these thoughts constantly invade that, why should I try in the first place? What if the worst case scenario happens right off the bat? What if I fail? What if I can't wake up? What if that person really doesn't love me? You can keep going on forever. My advice is, instead, try to have faith in the universe. There is a strange concept of synchronicity and manifestation that's been coming up in the last couple of years. Now, it's made it to the forefront of kind of spiritual wisdom, but the reality of it is, it comes from not only understanding that the way that you think is the way that you act, but that your actions based on the way that you think actually make a drastic difference in the environments and the people that you hang out with. Now, that's the second step that a lot of people miss. One of the main reasons that I started Turabify is because I thought that a lot of people lacked individual responsibility. When I went to dental school and went through this entire process of banging my head against a computer for multiple hours a day and learning about tiny things that I didn't really care all that much about, I realized that all of these students, all these highly educated people really didn't have too much individual responsibility. You might be thinking to yourself, well, they were busy, Turab. If you're a dental student, you understand. If you're a graduate student in any capacity, it's a lot of work. But the reality is, when I say individual responsibility, it's not about studying. It's about using our wisdom, our knowledge, to actually help people coming up behind us. Now that, in my opinion, is the role of a leader. So if a leader has overwhelmingly negative thoughts, that has a massive impact on whether or not they believe that those people that are struggling behind them deserve their time and attention, bringing it away from the leadership. Just in normal life, think about it this way. If I consistently think to myself that things aren't going to work out, there's a very good chance I'm not going to take the opportunity. The funny thing about opportunities is that if we don't take them with the understanding that we are very likely to fail, we're not going to improve to the point where we're not so likely to fail. If we don't take those opportunities that we're not comfortable with because we're being negative about those things, we're never going to get to the point, have the data in our heads to say, hey, you know what? I tackled this hard thing, it worked out, and that means I probably can do this other hard thing. Now that's faith in self. That's self-respect. And when it comes down to it, some of the most negative people that I've seen in my life are the ones that really hate themselves. So if that is something that you're getting into, how do you get out of this self-loathing? Well, first and foremost, we have to appreciate that we're all pieces of shit.
Piece of shit.
See? A negative thought. But the reality of it is, it comes with some humor. The reality of it is, it's said to make a message a reality. Because even though we're as strong as our strongest links in humanity, we are just as weak as our weakest. To assume that we are somehow different than those people that are sinning or committing crimes or having circumstances that they really look immoral or non-righteous, that's not the word, you know, villainous, let's talk about. To assume that those people have less humanity in them than we do is actually foolish. The concentration camps, the experiments in the prisons, at the end of the day, we have to realize that there is a drastic part of the human soul that is not doing great things, that tends to sin, that tends to do morally incorrect things. Every single one of us has that inside of us. The key is to try to wrestle with that and try our very, very hardest to pick a side. A lot of young people, perhaps yourself watching, have a hard time picking a side in life. They say, what does it matter? Why do I need to pick a positive or a negative side? Well, if you're not on a side, your decisions and the way that you look at life is inconsequential to your family, to your friends, to your workplace, to your community. If you don't pick a side, the inevitable battle that is raging on will not have your support in any capacity. Again, a lack of individual responsibility. Now, how do we choose a side? How do we choose whether or not it's better to be an optimist or a pessimist? Some of the greatest advice that amazing people give is stay paranoid, right? Is that a negative thought? You could argue it is, but perhaps it's a way to push us overall through times of discomfort. Perhaps it's a way to say, hey, do not stay comfortable in your approach. Try your very hardest to continue to build yourself. Everything can be perceived in a negative or positive lens. Again, reading books, talking to people that you want to be like, and making sure that you have some sort of a spiritual or at least emotionally calming ritual once a day that can help you center yourself and for you to decide whether or not you want to spend that day as someone that contributes positively to society or someone that brings other people down. Actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you. Take care of yourself. And if you like this video, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button and subscribe to have more of this stuff in your feed. Peace.